Okay, today is the 6th of September 2010, and this is the 48th time we are speaking on the Majjhima Nikaya Suttas. And tonight, I think we are going to go through two very important suttas. The first one is Sutta number 118, Anapanasati Sutta, mindfulness of breathing. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Savatthi, in the eastern park, in the palace of Megara's mother, together with many very well-known elder disciples, the Venerable Sariputta, the Venerable Mahamoggallana, the Venerable Mahakassapa, the Venerable Mahakachana, the Venerable Mahakotita, the Venerable Mahakapina, the Venerable Mahachunda, the Venerable Anuruddha, the Venerable Revata, the Venerable Ananda, and other very well-known elder disciples. On that occasion, elder monks had been teaching and instructing new monks. Some elder monks had been teaching and instructing 10 new monks. Some elder monks had been teaching and instructing 20, 30, 40 new monks. And the new monks, taught and instructed by the elder monks, had achieved successive stages of high distinction. On that occasion, the Uposatha day of the 15th, on the full moon night of the Pavarana ceremony, the Blessed One was seated in the open, surrounded by the Sangha of monks. Then surveying the silent Sangha of monks, he addressed them thus: Monks, I am content with this progress. My mind is content with this progress. So arouse still more energy to attain the unattained, to achieve the unachieved, to realize the unrealized. I shall wait here at Savatthi for the Kaumudi full moon of the 4th month. Stop here for a moment. This Pavarana ceremony is the full moon day at the end of the 3 months rains retreat. In India, the rain season is 4 months. The first 3 months, the monks have to stay in one place, one fixed place for the 3 months retreat. So at the end of it, they do a Pavarana ceremony, an invitation ceremony for other monks to criticize them. Each monk will invite other monks to criticize them in case they have done anything wrong. So after this Pavarana ceremony, which signifies the end of the rains retreat, the monks normally can go anywhere they want. But then here the Buddha says, because he's very happy with the monks' progress, he wants to stay for another month until the Kaumudi full moon of the 4th month. The 4th month of the rain season is called the Kartika month. And so this Kaumudi full moon, the name of that full moon day is this Kaumudi full moon day is the last day of the rain season. In Thailand, they celebrate this. They call it Loi Krathong. Lay people, they put out small paper boats into the river, into the lakes and all that, and the sea, and make a wish. The monks of the countryside heard. The Blessed One will wait there at Savatthi for the Kaumudi full moon of the 4th month. And the monks of the countryside left in due course for Savatthi to see the Blessed One. I'll stop here for a moment. Why they left to see the Blessed One? Because for them, they have finished the rains retreat. They can travel anywhere. But since they heard that the Buddha will be still staying on for 1 more month, that is a chance to go and see the Buddha, because if the Buddha start going off, it's difficult to meet the Buddha. So they quickly came to see the Buddha. And elder monks still more intensively taught and instructed new monks. Some elder monks taught and instructed 10 new monks. Some elder monks taught and instructed 20, 30, 40 new monks, and the new monks taught and instructed by the elder monks achieved successive stages of high distinction. On that occasion, the Uposatha day of the 15th, the full moon night of the Kaumudi full moon of the 4th month, the Blessed One was seated in the open, surrounded by the Sangha of monks. Then surveying the silent Sangha of monks, he addressed them thus, "Monks, this assembly is free from prattle, this assembly is free from chatter. It consists purely of hard wood. Such is this Sangha of monks, such is this assembly. Such an assembly as is worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of reverential salutation, an incomparable field of merit for the world. Such is this Sangha of monks, such is this assembly. Such an assembly that a small gift given to it becomes great, and a great gift greater. Such is this Sangha of monks, such is this assembly. Such an assembly as is rare for the world to see. Such is this Sangha of monks, such is this assembly. Such an assembly as would be worth journeying many leagues with a travel bag to see. Such is this Sangha of monks, such is this assembly. In this Sangha of monks, there are monks who are arahants, with taints destroyed, who have lived a holy life, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, reached the true goal, destroyed the fetters of being, and are completely liberated through final knowledge. Such monks are there in this Sangha of monks. In this Sangha of monks, there are monks too. There are monks who, with the destruction of the 5 lower fetters, are due to reappear spontaneously in the pure abodes, and there attain final nibbana without ever returning from that world. Such monks are there in this Sangha of monks. In this Sangha of monks, there are monks who, with the destruction of 3 fetters and with the attenuation of lust, hate, and delusion, are once returners, returning once to this world to make an end of suffering. Such monks are there in this Sangha of monks. In this Sangha of monks, there are monks who, with the destruction of the 3 fetters, are stream enterers, no longer subject to perdition, bound for liberation, headed for enlightenment. Such monks are there in this Sangha of monks. In this Sangha of monks, there are monks who abide devoted to the development of the 4 intense states of recollection or mindfulness. Such monks are there in this Sangha of monks. In this Sangha of monks, there are monks who abide devoted to the development of the 4 right kinds of striving, of the 4 bases for psychic power, of the 5 faculties, of the 5 powers, of the 7 enlightenment factors, of the Noble Eightfold Path. Such monks are there in this Sangha of monks. In this Sangha of monks, there are monks who abide devoted to the development of loving kindness, metta, of compassion, karuna, of joy, mudita, of equanimity, upekkha, of the meditation on foulness, of the perception of impermanence. Such monks are there in this Sangha of monks. In this Sangha of monks, there are monks who abide devoted to the development of mindfulness of breathing. Stop here for a moment. So here in paragraph 6, the Buddha said, the elder monks are intensively instructing new monks. What are they instructing? First, they have to instruct the Vinaya rules, monastic discipline, to the new monks. And then they have to instruct them the suttas, the words of the Buddha. And then thirdly, teach them meditation to achieve the jhanas. So when they say, when the sutta says, they achieve successive stages of high distinction, this refers to the high distinction, normally refers to the Uttari Manusa Dhamma, higher than normal human achievements, which refers to the jhanas, various, the 4 rupa jhanas, the 4 arupa jhanas, and cessation of perception and feeling. It also refers to the paths and fruits, the paths and fruits, the first path, first path, first fruit, second path, second fruit, third path, third fruit, and fourth path, and fourth fruit, and also the various abhinyas, various psychic powers. So all this is the stages of high distinction. Then the Buddha said there are arahants here, and then there are monks who have destroyed the 5 lower fetters. This refers to the anagamins. And then those monks who have destroyed 3 fetters and attenuated lust, hate, and delusion are once returners. The Pali word is sakadagamin, once returners. Once returners means they come back one more time as a human being to have a human rebirth, after which they will enter Nibbana. So just like the Sakyamuni Buddha, in his last life as Siddhartha Gautama, probably came back as a Sakadagamin and strove until he attained enlightenment. And then the stream enterers refers to the Sotapanna. And then below the Sotapanna, the Buddha talked about monks who abide devoted to the development of the various, these few things are the 37 Bodhipakya Dhammas. First, these Bodhipakya Dhammas, these requisites of enlightenment, sometimes they are referred to as the Abhidhamma, the higher Dhamma in the suttas. When the Buddha talks about the higher Dhamma, he refers to these 37 Bodhipakya Dhammas usually. So you can see here, there are monks who specialize in the four Satipatthana, and there are some specialize in the four Samappadana, four right kinds of striving. There are some specialize in the four Iddhipada, the four bases for psychic power, the five faculties in some, the five faculties, the five Indriya, five powers, Bala, seven enlightenment factors, the seven Bojjhangas, Noble Eightfold Path. So you can see from here, not all monks are specialized in the four Satipatthana. So sometimes the translation in some people, they translate the sutta, the Satipatthana Sutta, and they say that Satipatthana is the only way. That's wrong. Satipatthana is not the only way. You can see here very clearly that the monks, besides Satipatthana, they cultivate the other types of practices, which are part of the 37 Bodhipakya Dhammas. The translation should be that Satipatthana is the one-way path. One-way path meaning it goes one way only to the end of suffering. Leads one to the end of suffering. And then besides that, there are monks who specialize in the four Brahma Vihara, Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekkha. And some on the meditation on foulness, the 32 parts of the body, which was the first meditation the Buddha taught. And then some on the perception of impermanence, for example, contemplating the corpse, how our own body will turn into the corpse, the various types of corpse. And then the last thing the Buddha mentioned is the mindfulness of breathing, Anapanasati. What is not mentioned here is like the kasina. Kasina is something that was already in existence long before the Buddha. So I guess the Buddha thinks it's so common he didn't mention it. Monks, when mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, it is of great fruit and great benefit. When mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, it fulfills the four Satipatthana, four intense states of mindfulness or recollection. When the four Satipatthanas are developed and cultivated, they fulfill the seven Bojjhanga, the seven enlightenment factors. When the seven Bojjhanga are developed and cultivated, they fulfill true knowledge and liberation. I stop here for a moment. Here, this sutta is talking more of the Anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, which happens to be the very meditation the Buddha practiced himself. In the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha said, before enlightenment, he practiced Anapanasati, and even after enlightenment also, he practices Anapanasati. But nowadays, there are some monks, they say the Buddha's method of meditation is Vipassana. Vipassana meditation is not found in the suttas. It was invented later, using the commentaries and the later books like Visuddhi Magga. So in the suttas, the original teachings of the Buddha's own method of meditation is mindfulness of breathing. In fact, all the meditations taught by the Buddha are always samatha meditation. So here the Buddha says, mindfulness of breathing, if developed and cultivated, fulfills the four Satipatthana, and when the four Satipatthanas are developed and cultivated, they fulfill the seven enlightenment factors. In other words, which also leads to true knowledge and liberation. In other words, mindfulness of breathing, if developed and cultivated, fulfills the 4 satipatthana, and they fulfill the 7 bojjhanga, 7 enlightenment factors, and they fulfill true knowledge and liberation. And how, monks, is mindfulness of breathing developed and cultivated so that it is of great fruit and great benefit? Here a monk, gone to the forest or to the root of a tree or to an empty hut, sits down, having folded his legs crosswise, sets his body erect, and established mindfulness in front of him. Ever mindful, he breathes in. Mindful, he breathes out. Breathing in long, he understands, I breathe in long. Breathing out long, he understands, I breathe out long. Breathing in short, he understands, I breathe in short. Or breathing out short, he understands, I breathe out short. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing the whole body of breath. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing the whole body of breath. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing the bodily volition. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing the bodily volition. The Pali word is sankhara, which I translate as volition. Here it says formation. So here this paragraph says that when you practice Anapanasati, you notice the breath, whether it's long or short, and you experience the whole body of the breath. So this is important. You experience the whole body of the breath. So this meditation is about the breath body. It is not about a point. Nowadays, a lot of meditation teachers, they use the Visuddhimagga, which says that when you practice Anapanasati, you notice the breath at only one point, the upper lip or the tip of the nose. But this is not what the Buddha says, evidently. The Buddha says you should experience the whole body of the breath. So when you practice Anapanasati, you are observing the breath body. You are not observing a point. And then it says, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing the bodily volition. This bodily volition, as we have seen earlier, refers to the breath. You have Kaya Sankhara, Chitta Sankhara, you have Vachi Sankhara. So the Kaya Sankhara here, bodily volition, that means the volition of the body, the intention of the body to function is the breath. So as you practice your Anapanasati, slowly you tranquilize the breath. It becomes more and more refined, more and more gentle. This is natural as you sit longer. Initially when you sit down, the breath, maybe you're a bit tired or you're a bit excited or what. So the breath is a bit rough and a bit long. As you sit longer, your body calms down and your breath also calms down. So naturally the bodily volition, the breath, becomes more tranquil. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing delight. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing delight. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing pleasure. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing pleasure. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing the mental volition. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing the mental volition. He trains thus, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing the mental volition. He trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing the mental volition. So here it says, I shall breathe in, experiencing delight. You cannot force yourself to experience delight. When the breath becomes more and more tranquil, and then your mind becomes one-pointed, then the delight will arise. So that's what it means. It doesn't mean that you keep on breathing and waiting for the delight to come. So your attention is not on the delight, your attention should be on the breath. And if you put enough attention on the breath and your attention becomes one-pointed, then that delight and the pleasure, piti and sukha, will arise by itself. Experiencing the mental volition. The mental volition refers to this chitta sankhara, which is the perception and feeling, or feeling and perception. So this delight and pleasure is the feeling. So when you experience the delight and the pleasure, you are experiencing the mental volition, the feeling itself and the perception of that delight and the pleasure. So as the mind calms down, this feeling and the perception also tranquilizes. So that also is natural as you practice longer. He trains us, I shall breathe in, experiencing the mind. He trains us, I shall breathe out, experiencing the mind. He trains us, I shall breathe in, gladdening the mind. He trains us, I shall breathe out, gladdening the mind. He trains us, I shall breathe in, concentrating the mind. He trains us, I shall breathe out, concentrating the mind. He trains us, I shall breathe in, liberating the mind. He trains us, I shall breathe out, liberating the mind. This also are states which are higher states. As the mind becomes absorbed in the jhana, then you experience the mind, and the mind, that pleasure and that delight gladdens the mind. And in the third jhana, the mind becomes concentrated. Earlier we read about the description of the jhanas. It says in the third jhana, the mind is more concentrated. So this liberating the mind, maybe when the mind is in the state of one-pointedness, then there's no thinking, there's just awareness. So maybe in that sense, you experience the mind and you liberate the mind from all these defilements, these thoughts. He trains us, I shall breathe in, contemplating impermanence. He trains us, I shall breathe out, contemplating impermanence. He trains us, I shall breathe in, contemplating fading away. He trains us, I shall breathe out, contemplating fading away. He trains us, I shall breathe in, contemplating cessation. He trains us, I shall breathe out, contemplating cessation. He trains us, I shall breathe in, contemplating relinquishment. He trains us, I shall breathe out, contemplating relinquishment. Monks, this is how mindfulness of breathing is developed and cultivated, so that it is of great fruit and great benefit. This last part is contemplating what the Buddha has told us about impermanence of everything. So when you contemplate the Dhamma, here is contemplating the Dhamma, at the same time is breathing. But of course, when you are contemplating the Dhamma, you don't think of your breathing, you just think of the Dhamma. And how, monks, does mindfulness of breathing develop and cultivated fulfill the four satipatthana, the four intense states of mindfulness? Monks, on whatever occasion a monk breathing in long understands I breathe in long, or breathing out long, he understands I breathe out long. Breathing in short understands I breathe in short, or breathing out short, he understands I breathe out short. Thus, my trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing the whole body of breath. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing the whole body of breath. Trains thus, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing the bodily volition. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing the bodily volition. On that occasion, the monk abides contemplating the body in the body, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. I say that this is a certain body among the bodies, namely in-breathing and out-breathing. That is why on that occasion a monk abides contemplating the body in the body, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. So here you can see when you are contemplating the breath, the Buddha says, even though the breath doesn't look like a body, but the Buddha considers it a body, in the sense that it is the breath body, in breathing and out breathing. So later in the next sutta, we come on the Kaya Gata Sati Sutta, mindfulness of the body. This is one of the bodies. So, in the practice of the Satipatthana, there are 4 objects we have to pay attention to. The first one is body. So here when you contemplate your breath itself, the Buddha says that is practicing Satipatthana, the first object of Satipatthana. So it doesn't have to be a human body. This breath body is also counted. Monks, on whatever occasion, a monk trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing delight. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing delight. Trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing pleasure. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing pleasure. Trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing the mental volition. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing the mental volition. Trains thus, I shall breathe in, tranquilizing the mental volition. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, tranquilizing the mental volition. On that occasion, a monk abides contemplating feelings in feelings, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. I say that this is a certain feeling among the feelings, namely, giving close attention to in-breathing and out-breathing. That is why on that occasion a monk abides contemplating feelings in feelings, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. This part, the Buddha says, when you experience delight, when you experience pleasure, you are experiencing feelings. So, in that sense, this mindfulness of the breath is a contemplation of feelings, and feelings is the second object of Satipatthana. The other thing that you can say, because here it says, I say that this is a certain feeling among the feelings, namely giving close attention to in-breathing and out-breathing. When we give attention to our breath, going in and going out, sometimes it's very hard to see the breath. So you know that the breath goes in and out. Why? Because of that feeling. Some people feel the breath rather than to see the breath. Just like when the wind blows on your body, you have the feeling, right, of contact. The feeling that the wind is blowing against your body. You can feel the wind. So in the same way, when the breath goes inside us, into our lungs, and goes out, you can feel the breath. So for some people, this contemplation of the breathing in and breathing out is like a feeling of the breath. Because of sloth and torpor, we cannot see the breath properly. Our mind is not clear. So you know the breath. For some people, you feel the breath going in and out. That's why is when you pay attention to the breath, then you are paying attention to feeling. That's there's another interpretation that you can give here. Monks, on whatever occasion the monk trains thus, I shall breathe in, experiencing the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, experiencing the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe in, gladdening the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, gladdening the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe in, concentrating the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, concentrating the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe in, liberating the mind. Trains thus, I shall breathe out, liberating the mind. On that occasion, a monk abides contemplating mind in mind, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. I do not say that there is development of mindfulness of breathing for one who is forgetful, who is not fully aware. That is why on that occasion a monk abides contemplating mind in mind, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. So here in the same way, you can see here when the Buddha refers to the third object of Satipatthana, mindfulness of the mind, you can consider in two ways. One is when you reach the stage where you are experiencing the mind, or the mind is gladdened, or the mind is concentrated. So because you are aware of the states of the mind, so the Buddha says this is practicing Satipatthana, contemplating mind in mind. Another way of looking at it is that when you are paying full attention to your breath, your mind is not running away. Your mind, you are not forgetful. You are very mindful of the breath. So for that reason, because you are practicing mindfulness, so the Buddha says, you are contemplating the mind as the third object of Satipatthana, because the Buddha says here, there is no development of mindfulness of breathing for one who is forgetful. If you are practicing mindfulness of your breath and your mind runs away, then you are not practicing mindfulness of the breath. You are practicing forgetfulness of the breath. But if you are mindful of the breath, then the Buddha says you are contemplating the mind, because your mind, you are in your mind, you are not elsewhere. So in this sense, you can read two meanings into this paragraph. One is you are experiencing the mind, and the other one is that you are being very mindful. That's why you are practicing contemplating the mind.